one.
Hello and welcome to the Filter Free Podcast.
There we go. I took the dirtiest poop earlier.
Dave, I mean, other than you taking us out for racist ice cream, what else are we going to go out and eat? I'm your host, TJ
Step-in.
Stevens.
TJ Step-in.
What's up, ladies? It's
Her-
man's perfection.
Yes, God damn it. Everybody said ask us some shit.
You know what? Both of your guys' names are so easy to pronounce. I can't even make fun of it because it's pronounced the way it's spelled. Dollar Bill Dave.
What?
He just lost the title, or at least that's what Joey Styles said.
Oh my God!
Thank you. If you're Timmy C.
Who? But you get to enjoy my weekly names about wrecking that pussy.
And I go, who spit on you? I'll hit that motherfucker with a shovel.
The location, I was incorrect. Shauna is on vacation. If you ever want to be kicked out of a Halloween party, dress as Dave. Oh my God!
Well, I'm going to tell you, fellows, about why
It's like a red rocket.
Why watching the Woolly Mammoth Bank. This has been the Filter Free Podcast, and so long for now.
I gotta go pee. Tim's got
I do too.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is the Filter Free Podcast here, and we are doing the Wrestlemania Night 1 pre-show for pwmania.com. Timmy C is on his way to Florida to get on a boat to go on a cruise with his kids for spring break, and TJ Stevens is stuck at work like a moron on WrestleMania weekend. So we have special guest host Justin Yent with us here today to help me run through the card. Justin, say hello to the fans.
How's it going, Dave? And how's it going, FFP Universe?
Yes, we are here. So WrestleMania weekend got kicked off with a bang last night. We had SmackDown, and it was followed up by the Hall of Fame, where we had new inductees into the Hall of Fame. One of my personal favorites, the Great Muta. Has anybody seen the picture of the Great Muta with Triple H and Vince McMahon with the dyed hair black and the mustache? The mustache has made an appearance.
Yes, the porn stash is there. It looks like he's trying to get a little bit more NDAs as he's aging.
Good Lord.
With the mustache there. So, yes.
And the news broke this week that Vince McMahon is back with the WWE full-time. He is back working. We don't know how much he ever really left, but he's back. Hopefully he's not doing anything when it comes to booking and all that stuff. He needs to just stay out of that because Triple H is doing a great job. So let's start this off. First things first, today, this morning here, I guess it was technically, it's still this morning. It was at 11 this morning, my time. We had NXT Stand and Deliver. And the results of that, if you don't know, Carmelo Hayes is the new NXT champion. He beat Braun Breaker for the title. So I'm guessing we're going to get Braun Breaker on the main roster here sooner rather than later. I was really hoping he was going to take the Steiner name with him, but WWE might want to shy away from that right now after the news broke today that Rick Steiner couldn't keep his mouth shut and got into it with Impact superstar
Giselle
Shaw. Apparently they bumped into each other at WrestleCon, and Rick Steiner went off on the transgender wrestler and informed her that she is a man and couldn't really keep his mouth shut. So he's now been banned from WrestleCon from what we understand. People said today that just Scott Steiner is at the Steiner's table. And now I'm guessing definitely they won't use the Steiner name for Braun because it's got some ugly connotations with it now. He couldn't just keep his mouth shut and just let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, Dave, the match was a hell of a match between the two. And it was pretty much anyone's guess on who was going to win because either one are ready to be called up to the main roster at this point.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings that both were going to be getting called up before too long. So It'll be interesting to see what happens with Carmelo Hayes now that he has the crown in NXT. Will he be in NXT for a while, or is this just going to be a short-term type gig when he's going to lose that belt here and make his way to greener pastures onto the main roster? But time will tell.
I think with the consistency of Triple H being head of creative overall, I think that should help kind of the consistency of what we're going to see people flow from NXT to the main roster, unlike what it was previously, right? So I think that's a plus for both of these gentlemen who are now poised to make an impact on the main roster.
Yeah, I don't want to see too many guys go to the main roster. I think that's, we've had this conversation before. That's AEW's problem, that they have way too many people on their roster and people aren't getting utilized. WWE's got a little bit more television time. Raw is 3 hours, which is way too long. They need to cut that back down to 2. And SmackDown being 2 hours, they have 5 hours of television. They can use some of these guys. It's out there that Roman Reigns is probably going to be taking a little bit of a break soon. Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic. He hasn't been taking up too much TV time anyway in his multiple year run as champion. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to see the champion every week. Growing up in the 80s and the 90s, you didn't see Hulk Hogan on TV every week. WWE was in syndication then, and it was a little bit different times, but you don't have to see the same people every week, but you do have to see them consistently. And so I think that's the biggest downfall with AEW right now is there's no consistency with the booking and with who's being used. So I really hate to see too many people get called up to not be used. But you also know it's WrestleMania season, and right after WrestleMania season is the layoffs in the WWE. So I'm sure there will be a number of superstars that are going to be getting their release. And we'll be bringing in a new crop of talent. So we'll see. I'm ready to see Braun Breaker on the main roster, though. He's good. He's got good size. He's very good in the ring, has the athleticism. We'll see what he can do. His name's just really stupid. So,
well, I think he's made it work. And, at the end of the day, if he continues to make it work, it may stick. At the end of the day, Dolph Ziggler, when it first started, hi, I'm Dolph. It was a stupid name too, but he's made it work and made everybody believe in who he is as an athlete. So, like I said, people can overcome stupid names. So,
and one of the most painful matches of the day, we saw Johnny Gargano defeat Grayson Waller in an unsanctioned anything goes match. Did you see the welts on Grayson Waller's back from that kendo stick? Good Lord.
Brutal match between both of them.
He's definitely going to be feeling that in the morning.
The one thing that I can say is they have been consistent in making sure that their long-term storytelling has had a start and a big end to it. And no one expected to see Johnny Gargano back after his Raw debut, right? And so ultimately having an end cap in NXT, finishing that storyline with Grayson Waller, I thought they had a hell of a match, and I was surprised to see Johnny go over, but ultimately at the end of the day, I think Grayson's going to be a star regardless.
Yeah, I think Waller's going to be a star no matter what, but I too was expecting Waller to win that match. I don't, some people, I put this out on Twitter yesterday, WrestleMania spoilers and things are all over the internet, and it's not something that I really understand. As you know, I look at professional wrestling as a show. It's entertainment. I like to watch it. Why do you want to be surprised with, or why would you not want to be surprised with what's going on and follow all these different things and put out spoilers? It's like you go to the movies. You don't want to know how the movie's going to end. You want to be surprised when you see the movie and enjoy it. So people need to learn how to just be along for the ride and enjoy what you got, because who really wants to spoil it? And then you want to spoil it and then put it out there and spoil it for other people that don't want to see it. I have avoided any kind of spoilers like the plague because I don't want to know.
Yeah, I'd love to see some surprises. I think what we're going to get with Triple H, as what we saw with SummerSlam and some of the previous premium live events, is some returning superstars, some surprises, and one hell of a WrestleMania Monday Night Raw on Monday.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. I don't have a team in the NCAA tournament championship this year, so I'll be tuned into Monday Night Raw. That's the only Raw of the year that should ever be 3 hours. Everything else should just be 2. We had the NXT Women's Championship ladder match. Roxanne Perez, Zoe Stark, Gigi Dolan, Tiffany Stratton, Lyra Valkyria, and Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell is the new NXT Women's Champion with the help of Dexter Lumis. I really liked the ending of the match. I thought it was great. It kind of picked up the story again with them. Lumis helped Hartwell get to the title as she was too injured to climb the ladder on her own. So he put her on his shoulders and got her up the ladder, and she became the new NXT Women's Champion. I liked it. I would like to have seen Roxanne Perez get a little bit longer of a title run. I think she had just won it in January, and turn around and it's gone. So she's only 21 years old though. She has a very bright future ahead of her. So it's not that big of a deal, and it's not anything people need to really look into long-term. I liked how Gigi Dolan looked like she was going to win the match, and JC Jane came out and cost her shot. So they're obviously building up the feud there. JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, I think, are both future stars in this business. I love both of them and think they are great, and can't wait to see what they do on the main roster one of these days.
Yeah, I think the match did a good job first opening up the premium live event.
Yep.
It's a hard thing to do with a ladder match, especially put in that position. You have the women that are either tenured, and then you have the rookies in there as well. And I thought Tiffany Stratton, impressed me. Before I haven't been as sold on her as a wrestler, but I think she brought it this afternoon. And to your point, you can't really trust the spoilers. Everybody had Roxanne winning, right? No one saw Indy Hartwell coming out as champion at the end of the day. And so I thought that was good. I thought it was a good way to freshen up the women's division and kind of create some new storylines while also closing up the storyline with Indy and Dexter Lumis.
Yeah. WWE and NXT especially are doing a great job featuring their women wrestlers. And it's refreshing to see, and it's come a long way since the Sable days, and Sable and Miss Jacqueline with their little feud and Luna Vachon or whatever. Women's wrestling's really just, taking a tremendous step forward. And it's good to see because these girls are putting on a hell of a match. Tiffany Stratton, if you haven't seen it, she took one nasty bump off that ladder at the end of the match where they flipped her off it, and she was supposed to kind of land in the crowd, and they pretty much didn't catch her, and she hit that ground hard.
No, and so and her yelp, at first I thought maybe she's faking it, but then I saw the replay, and I'm like, yep, that was real. So
yeah, and then next we move on to the North American Championship. Champion Wes Lee retained his title in a great match. And if you have never seen Dragon Lee wrestle like I haven't, today was the first time I've ever seen Dragon Lee. He's everything and anything as good as what they said he was. Dude was incredible and did some great shit in that ring. And I can't wait to see what WWE has in store for him, because he's making a lot of money, and especially for NXT, so they don't expect him to be there very long.
No, and there was one spot where it looked like he had gotten injured after doing a dive off the top rope. And I was actually worried that he'd be on the shelf after his first match in NXT. So I'm actually glad that he actually was able to finish the match. It looks like he's doing all right. But a great job from all the superstars in that ring today. Wes Lee continues to prove he's a fighting champ, and definitely is holding it on his own as a singles competitor after being sidelined from a tag team competition.
Yep. And the NXT Tag Team Championship, Gallus retained over the Creed brothers and Tony D'Angelo and Stax. I kind of thought that was going to be the case. And the match wasn't anything special. It wasn't bad. But a lot of these matches, you could just tell they're trying to get people paydays. There's just way too many people in all these matches. I prefer one-on-one or just normal regular tag team type matches over every single match having 48 people in it. But it served its purpose. It was fine. the tag team division in NXT is one of the best out there. So, hopefully we can get some of these guys on the main roster as well, because I think the WWE main roster is really lacking with tag teams. And it's evident Vince didn't really care for tag teams, so it's got to be built back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're doing that now. And there's the future's got a lot of tag team wrestling in it, and it looks pretty bright.
Yes, and the returning Joe Coffey during the match to assist Gallus in that win was actually pretty nice to see. So Gallus is even stronger as we go into next Tuesday for NXT. So,
yep. And the third title change of the day in NXT at Stand and Deliver was the Women's Tag Team Championship. Kiana James and Fallon Henley lost to Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. So, Alba Fire was the women's champion in NXT UK. I don't remember her name.
She was the longest reigning NXT women's
What was
champion.
her name in NXT UK before she changed to Alba Fire? I can't remember, but she was, she's good. They're good. The NXT women's tag team division is in a good spot. There's going to be a lot of future with these tag belts with women on the main roster or whatever. I think the main roster tag title is kind of just, it's really not that highly thought of yet, but we really start to get legit tag teams in there. I think it'll be better. So it's not something that, Kaylee Ray, that was her name. Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff coming in the future with WWE, and I think it's in the right hands. And I was highly impressed with this NXT show. Everybody that knows me knows that when it was NXT Black and Gold, I was NXT through and through. And when they went to this NXT 2.0 crap, I was not a fan. But I am starting to pick up on it again. It's not as good as it was, but there's still a lot of sports entertainment aspect to it, a little bit too much to some of these newer guys and these indie wrestlers that you didn't have when you were with the Black and Gold. But they're figuring it out. So the last match of the day, Chase U defeated Schism. Good match. The Rock's daughter made her wrestling debut, Ava Rain. She didn't really do much. I think she's still pretty green and has a lot of work to do, but she'll get there. Nobody's perfect when they first start out in wrestling, and she hasn't been there long, but obviously she's got a great spot on the roster. Having a father with the caliber of The Rock doesn't hurt. So I like to see how she continues to grow and improve. It showed today she's got work to do. She's still very green, and she didn't get much time at all, but she did get in there. She made a little bit of an impact. All in all, I thought this was a pretty good show. It was a good showing for NXT. I think Shawn Michaels is probably the right guy to be heading up that brand. He seems to be doing a pretty good job with what he's got in the talent. I'd like to see NXT bring in more independent wrestlers instead of these young up-and-coming athletes. But so far, so good. Grayson Waller was one of these young up-and-coming athletes, as well as Braun Strowman. And they're doing some good things out there. So we got a lot of stuff to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, the one thing that I liked is NXT is back for the premium live event weekends and is helping the main roster step up their game. So they kicked it off pretty well. I'm excited to transition tonight to the Saturday edition of Wrestlemania, and excited to be here to cover that with you.
Yeah, so we'll get it started. WrestleMania Night 1 is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm guessing it's going to be 3 hours both nights-ish. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches on the card for Night 1. And that WrestleMania is starting off with the match for the United States Championship between the returning John Cena and Austin Theory. Justin, Give me a rundown. What do you think's going to happen here?
I think it's a hell of a match to start off with. You know, I've seen, no pun intended, but theories about Austin Theory losing the belt tonight and Cena bringing back the U.S. title open challenge on Monday to introduce a new wrestler. I don't know if I like that. I actually like Cena putting over Theory tonight and stepping aside and retiring after this. And he's done his part for the past 20-something years. I think he's done a great job for the industry. It's time to let the new talent take over. So, in my opinion, I pick Theory for the win for tonight's Mania opening match.
Yeah, I would like to see Austin Theory get the win. I don't think this does anything for John Cena in terms of winning the U.S. title right now. But what I don't want John Cena to retire. And the reason why is when wrestling was at its peak, people were ready for Hulk Hogan to retire. Hulk Hogan didn't retire. He turned heel and created the NWO along with Hall and Nash, and it was the hottest thing in wrestling for years. I would like to see John Cena at some point, if he comes back and does some sort of not legit full-time schedule with WWE, but some type of schedule where he's there more than he's not. I would like to see a John Cena heel turn one last time. We need it. And he can always go out on it as a babyface later. But man, a heel turn from John Cena would be great. It's not going to happen tonight, I don't think, because Austin Theory is probably one of the top heels in the company right now. And I think Triple H has done an amazing job making him be taken seriously, because before Triple H took over, Austin Theory was kind of a joke. And I'm really enjoying it. It's one that I'm anxious to see, but I would like to see Austin Theory go over, as winning this belt doesn't do anything for the legacy of John Cena. And Theory getting the win over John Cena makes Theory that much bigger of a star.
Exactly.
All right. Match 2 that we're going to talk about is one with some old star power in it. We have the man, Becky Lynch, along with Lita and Trish Stratus, both Hall of Famers of their own, facing off against Damage Control. Justin, tell me, what do you see happening?
As a huge fan of women's wrestling, the fact that I'm getting Trish and Lita back is huge. The interesting thing is, so this is actually Lita's second WrestleMania match of all time. Now, she's been featured in many, right? So she was with Edge during his, but this is her second match, and to have her have a title around her waist as she's walking out is huge. Trish, her return is good. I think Becky with her, it's going to be a hell of a fight. The nice thing is Dakota Kai, if you would have thought about it last year, she was not in the company, not even expecting a WrestleMania card this year. So to see her involved, I'm really happy for her. And I really think I give it to Damage Control more than anything. I think Lita and Trish pass on the torch and allow Damage Control to get the win.
For some reason, I see Trish turning heel. I think they kind of started it with the Raw episode where Trish was attacked by Damage Control, and Becky Lynch and Lita were not there to make the save, and Trish was not happy about it. They've kind of gotten away from it, but I think in the end, we're going to get a Trish Stratus heel turn, and maybe we see a little bit more Trish on the main roster. It could lead to some type of match between Trish and Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. And I think that'd be the right way to send Trish off, as we had her face Charlotte at SummerSlam a couple of years ago. And I'd like to see some kind of something. I think Trish turns heel, but that's just just straight up watching Raw and seeing what happened with that. I think it's got to be the way to go.
Dave,
Trish
there was no better heel back in the golden era than Trish Stratus.
Trish, that's what I was getting ready to say. Trish was a great heel.
Yeah.
Back in her original run. And she's always been a great face as well. And I mean, My God, she's 47 years old. Can you name a woman at 47 years old who looks better than Trish Stratus? Good Lord.
No, and I'm glad that they're giving them their opportunity to actually wrestle with the new superstars, female superstars, because really back in the golden era, where they gave them an opportunity to wrestle, they did not give them the opportunity to go as far as what they're going right now. So
no, I mean, we had a lot of, in Trish's run, we had a lot of bra and panty matches and evening gown matches and stuff
pudding
like that.
match, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
so
mud wrestling.
To give them their flowers right now and say, hey, you are kind of what paved the way for this generation of wrestlers, and still be able to contribute and lead to a match at WrestleMania. I do understand where some people are saying, well, they're taking a spot on the card. They busted their ass for years for this, and this is their payoff, right? So I think this is how the new generation can kind of show respect for the older generation.
People can say they're taking a spot on the card, but you're getting that women's fatal 4-way match later on, the WrestleMania showcase match, I guess it's called, with 8 women. They're getting their spot. I don't have a problem with this. It's WrestleMania. It happens every year. At this event every year, there's going to be celebrities and former superstars who make returns and get a spot on the card. And it is what it is. You didn't see people bitching about The Undertaker when he wrestled literally for about 5 years. He wrestled once a year, and it was at WrestleMania. People didn't have a problem with it. Why would you have a problem with Trish and Lita? It's not like they're geriatrics coming out there and can barely move or anything like that. They can still go in the ring. It's not going to be a 5-star classic, but it's going to be enough. And, these women, Trish and Lita were the first 2 women in WWE to ever kind of really be taken seriously. And in the early 2000s, it was made a big deal when they main evented a Monday Night Raw for the women's title. When Lita beat Trish for that women's championship. And so it's come full circle. It's a completely different ball game with the way women are treated in wrestling now compared to what it was, in the late 90s, early 2000s. We just went over this with we did WrestleMania 20 on the Filter Free podcast just a couple weeks ago, and one of the matches of the night was a Playboy Bunny evening gown match. And you just kind of giggle and you're like, boy, could you imagine the uproar people would have if they saw this now?
Oh, we'd lose our shit as fans. I mean, as someone who respects women's wrestling, that wouldn't last at all. So
and women's wrestling's come a long way.
Yes.
And a lot of these women are athletes that you're seeing now. These aren't just models that are thrown in there to look pretty. Because, I mean, go back and watch women's wrestling from 2004, 2003. It was terrible. It was terrible.
But it was not due to their fault. They were limited on what they were allowed to do.
Yeah, but a lot of these women weren't real athletes, though. You're talking about these were like models, and these were pretty faces that they were put in to be wrestlers. And that wasn't what they really were. So, if you watched the Hall of Fame last night, Stacy Keibler started out as a dancer, as a Nitro girl. And because she was so pretty and she had such long legs, they immediately took her from being a Nitro girl and put her on the WCW roster to be Miss Hancock. And she had no real legit formal wrestling training prior to that. So, and you're seeing people that, or you saw people then that were like, hey, you're really pretty. We're going to put you on the main roster and be a wrestler.
I'd agree, but
they had very little training to get there. These girls now start out and they're going through the WWE Performance Center. They're going through NXT for years and they're building it up, and they're not just pretty faces anymore. They are actual legit athletes that can go, and they're putting on the caliber matches that actual legit athletes can.
I'd say
so that's the main difference.
I'd say the difference between the two is at the time they were hiring models who didn't care if they were wrestlers, right?
Right.
Now they're hiring people who want to be wrestlers.
Right.
But you take Trish, for example. She was hired as a fitness model to be a pretty face on wrestling, right?
Yeah, she started out as a manager for.
She was a valet, yes,
for Testin Albert, TNA, yeah.
TNA, yes. And I'll tell you, she got the bug and she was a wrestling fan before, and I think she got the bug and continued wanting to learn more. And it's when you have that passion for wanting to learn the craft that you're actually participating in is when you excel. And I think that's exactly why Trish excelled. So I know
Trish wanted to be a wrestler, and that's where it comes from. If you are a wrestling fan and take it seriously, and you're not it's the same thing with the wrestlers themselves. Are they really wrestling fans and have an interest in the business, or are they there to make money? That's the difference between guys like the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior or Bill Goldberg, somebody that can actually put on a match, or somebody that's there to look like $1 million and to make a paycheck and go home.
Exactly.
So it's a completely different world now than what it was. So what we grew up in. And, and I think Brock Lesnar is a superstar and can go in the ring because he's that kind of freak athlete. But Brock Lesnar hasn't had a legit match that was more than suplexes and lasted anything over 8 minutes since, it's been 6 or 7 years. So, even Brock Lesnar is only there for the money, and we know that. But in his prime, he could go. But people have to remember, Brock Lesnar's in his mid-40s now. So you're not going to get 25-minute flip-flop classics that you would think, but he can still be a legit person in that ring. But long gone are the days of Brock Lesnar ever getting any kind of recognition from people like Dave Meltzer and things like that, because that's just not what Brock Lesnar is built for these days.
Nor does he care.
No, and he doesn't care.
Exactly.
But that's the only knock I really have on Brock Lesnar is he doesn't care about wrestling. And I like to see guys that do. The Hulk Hogan's of the world. Hulk Hogan was never going to put on 5-star classics, but he lived and breathed wrestling. Right? So he cared about being there. He cared about the fans. He cared about putting on a show. And, name somebody bigger than Hulk Hogan. It can't be done in the wrestling business.
I get you.
So, all right. Our next match of the night we have Seth freaking Rollins and Logan Paul. Another one that people can say he's taken up a roster spot, but you tell me a celebrity that's ever put on a better match than Logan Paul, and I'll wait.
I will have to disagree with anybody that talks about Logan Paul taking up a place on the card. Never have we had a celebrity sign an entire contract for a full year, offering multiple matches where they're putting in the work to make sure that they're putting in quality matches, right? So he's trained at the Performance Center. You can see that he actually cares, that he's a wrestling fan. He's put on a hell of a match each time he set into the ring with either Miz or Roman. I can't wait to see what he does with Seth. I think they've built up a good storyline from the Rumble to Elimination Chamber and now pushing it through WrestleMania. So I'm excited to see how this turns out. Whether they re-sign him after tonight is really up to this match, I think, and up to his passion. So,
well, I think they do re-sign him. I think it's only a matter of time. He'll continue the kind of schedule he's working now. But name another superstar though, or celebrity superstar, I should say, that has come in and actually lost matches. Logan Paul's doing business. He showed up at the Royal Rumble. The spot with him and Ricochet was incredible. He's better set as a heel than as a face. He went to Saudi Arabia and lost to Roman Reigns. He did business. He beat The Miz. I think everybody saw that coming. And I think he loses tonight to Seth Rollins. And I don't see how. I think Seth Rollins needs this. Logan Paul doesn't need this win. He's Logan Paul.
No.
But I kind of think Seth Rollins has been booked kind of in the way of Bray Wyatt back in the early Bray Wyatt days, and then kind of with the Fiend, where he seemed to lose all his big feuds. And Seth Rollins, had a feud with Cody last year, and he lost all 3 matchups with Cody. And he has not looked strong so far against Logan Paul. And so I think that Seth Rollins needs this win. He hasn't had a big win in a while. And in order for him to stay on the main event level, I think he needs to win this match. And, I think this is going to be a fun one. Logan Paul can go in the ring. He can go. We all know Seth Rollins can go in the ring. So I think this could be the match of the night.
I can see it. I think Cody and Seth had the match of the night last year at Mania. So Seth does a very good job of carrying whoever he's working with. I've never seen a sloppy Seth Rollins match. I've seen incidents happen, right? But he is usually not sloppy when he's working with another wrestler. He really is trying to put them over and making sure that ultimately at the end of the day, they have a good quality match. So
we all know Seth Rollins can go in the ring. And we've seen that Logan Paul can hold his own as well. So this is one that I'm really looking forward to. I am looking forward to the return of John Cena. And then on top of that, I am very much looking forward to this match, as I think this will be the one that steals the show for night one. Because Seth Rollins is top notch in that ring. And I think that they've got it figured out, and they've got to build a way. WWE needs more talent on top of the card. Roman Reigns has been up there for 2.5, almost 3 years now as champion, and he's mowed through everybody. They've got to start building some new credible threats to whoever the champion may be. And Seth Rollins fits that bill. I mean, he's there. So I think this will help propel Seth back up into the main event type caliber spot on the card. And, his future's bright. The fans love him. It's so funny. When Seth is a heel, the fans can't get enough of him. When Seth is a face, they tire of him very quickly. Now that he's technically a face, but he's kind of in between.
Tweener.
The fans are loving him. So we'll see how long they can hold on to it. But, I kind of have a fear with Cody as well. The fans love Cody right now. And I think if Cody wins, I could see the fans growing tired of Cody really quick.
Yeah, but I see if Cody winning, you throw both of them into a feud together, it's an instant heat magnet right there. Yeah, they already got a feud built, and so I really think that's the natural progression if Cody wins.
Yeah, I definitely don't think if Cody wins, I definitely don't think it'll be a long-term title run. I could see him dropping it sometime around SummerSlam or something like that. Perhaps Survivor Series if he were to hold it that long. But they have to do something. If you're only going to have your champion on one show, they have to split the titles. So the word is they're looking for a way to split these belts back up, and we're going to be getting new title belts. God, I hope that's true, because I hate WWE's championship titles. They are ugly. But, I'm interested to see. And then, right around the corner, we have the draft, the annual WWE draft. So, we should be splitting this up. I still am of the belief that I think WWE would be better off if there was no split. They were all under the WWE banner and they all wrestled on whatever show. It didn't matter. You get rid of the Raw Women's Championship and you just have a WWE Women's Champion. And then if you want another belt, go ahead and have a Women's Intercontinental Champion. You can have your women's tag belts. I don't see a use in having a United States title and an Intercontinental title. You only need one. I think they need to bring back the Cruiserweight title or have some type of WWE Network champion or something. But I think they need to get rid of the United States title. And there's plenty of guys on this roster where you shouldn't have to be seeing feuds because they're tied to the Raw brand or the SmackDown brand and having it over and over again. Just be one big brand. And, the champion doesn't have to be on every show every week. And nobody has to be on every show every week. But you can have the same roster wrestling on Raw and SmackDown. And it's just better.
I agree. Well, we still have a couple matches left to go over before we hit our 6 o'clock hour Eastern time.
Our next match is one that I'm actually looking forward to. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. I think this is going to be one of the most fun matches of the night. How about you, Justin?
I agree. I was so entertained when Rey actually put his hands on Dominic. He's been egging him on for months. And I think Rey Mysterio is going to give Dominic the fight of his life. I think ultimately at the end, I see Dominic winning due to disqualification. But I think it's going to be a hell of a match from Rey Mysterio.
I'm excited to see what happens with the LWO now. With you have the LWO was kind of brought back last night on SmackDown, and they said they have Rey Mysterio's back as long as Judgment Day is around. I think ultimately Dominic wins. Rey doesn't need this win. Dominic does. It sounds like WWE's been very impressed with Dominic, and they're looking to do some things with him moving forward. I think Rey's winding down his career. And no better way for Rey to wind down his career than by passing the torch to his son, who, Dominic was very bland as a face. And this whole run with him and Rhea Ripley being a part of Judgment Day is working. And it's working very well. And I think WWE has something there with Dominic Mysterio as a heel with Judgment Day.
Oh, he's one of the most hated heels right now.
Right. But in order for this to keep progressing, Judgment Day has to stop losing in every feud they're in. And we'll get back to that later, as there will be another couple of Judgment Day matches on this card. So Judgment Day's got to start picking up some victories, because in all reality, they've lost to everybody they've been in a feud with thus far. So they aren't really taking that seriously. So they're finally starting to get some heat. I can say the same thing about Damian Priest. I thought when he came to the main roster and was a face, he didn't do anything for me. He is a much better heel than face, and it's working. Finn Balor is doing all he can to carry Judgment Day, and they're on the verge of breaking out to something, but they got to pick up some victories, and I think that starts tonight. I think Dominic Mysterio beats Rey Mysterio, and we see it grow. But it's one of those things where this is going to be a fun WrestleMania, and I'm glad that I'm to the age now and not a young kid anymore who always wanted to know all the spoilers. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I want to watch it unfold in front of my eyes and just enjoy the moment. And more people need to do that with wrestling. People get too serious and too wrapped up in this. And then the war, the AEW versus W. Guess what? You can watch both. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it.
Be a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
not
just enjoy it.
Brand fan.
I don't care who you watch or who you like better. Nobody cares. The wrestlers don't care. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but they're both going to keep putting on shows. They'll both be around in a year. So there's no need to hate either one of the companies for anything. And especially the wrestlers. You can be mad at Vince McMahon for something he did in the past, or you can be mad. WWE, they're putting on a show in Saudi Arabia. I'll never watch it. The wrestlers are they're entertaining the fans of Saudi Arabia. It is what it is.
Yeah.
How would you like it if you lived in Florida and they're like, well, I don't like the governor of Florida. We're not doing anything there. Well, that's kind of a bummer to the fans, right? So just relax. Everybody needs to take a step back, sit down, just chill out and relax. These guys are making really good money, and they're doing what they love and putting on a good show for you and me and everybody else that's a wrestling fan. And they just want you to enjoy it. They don't give a shit. I hate to break it to you, but 100% of the locker room in WWE has friends in AEW, and they want to see them succeed. 100% of the locker room in AEW has friends in WWE. They want to see them succeed. It's all the same thing. Just the only one that thinks it's a real war is the fans, the AEW diehards or the WWE diehards. Nobody else gives a shit. Just enjoy the show.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yep. So our throwaway match of the night is the WrestleMania Men's Showcase. Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders. This is a complete toss-up.
I think you're going to be surprised by this match. I think all of them are going to go out and kind of show you that this isn't the throwaway match. They've all worked out, and you were just talking about how they need to build up the tag team roster. This is 4 really good, strong tag teams now.
Yeah, but I don't think this match is going to be very long. And this match had little to no build up, so it doesn't really help build up the tag team division because it's obviously there. There's 8 men that are getting a payday. So instead of having the Andre the Giant Battle Royal where we throw 20 or 30 guys in the ring so they can get a WrestleMania payday, they're doing it a little bit different with these WrestleMania showcase matches this year. And it could be something, but I'm just, like I said with the NXT stand, I'm not a fan of these matches that have multiple teams or people in them. I like seeing one-on-one straight up matches, singles or tag team. And you don't need 6 to 8 people in every match. It doesn't need to be done. The Viking Raiders are amazing, other than their stupid name, but they've done absolutely nothing since they've been on the main roster. I see the Street Profits not being a tag team much longer. I think WWE is going to do something with Montez Ford, and I mean he's a superstar, so you can. But it's kind of the same thing. WWE didn't keep the Rockers around forever because it was obvious that Marty Jannetty just got all in his own way, but Shawn Michaels was a megastar and they saw it. So, but long gone are the teams like Demolition or the Road Warriors or the Rock and Roll Express or Midnight Express that are in wrestling to be a part of a tag team. So I think that kind of hurts tag team wrestling some, but I think guys like the Viking Raiders are in it to be a tag team. Guys like FTR are in wrestling to be tag team wrestlers. You need that. Not everybody needs to be Hulk Hogan or Shawn Michaels or the next big thing in wrestling. Because when tag team wrestling is done right, it's really good. So this is not a match that I'm all that looking forward to. I'll sit there and watch it and enjoy it, but my expectations are low.
Well, let's just say we are glad that we gave you a bathroom break that wasn't the females for once, Dave.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think the Viking Raiders will win. I think that there will be probably a shocker or surprise during this match. If anything, I think they're going to all pull out some stock, even if it is a quick match. I'm looking forward to it. I think this is probably one of the best WrestleMania cards in a very long time. Hunter's done a good job of building up most of the card with long-term storylines that mean something to the fans and that people can get invested in. Even if it came together at the last minute with some of the announcements, it still meant they were wrapping up some of the feuds that were built previously. So
now I do think we will end up having a spot from Ricochet and a spot from Montez Ford that'll make us ooh and ah, since it's WrestleMania and they're there. But, the Street Profits and the Usos put on one hell of a tag match last year, and they followed it up by giving them a rematch at SummerSlam, and we were both there, and we were highly disappointed in the match between the Street Profits and the Usos at SummerSlam. But the match they had at the pay-per-view prior was outstanding. So we know it's there. We know it can be done. But will they do it? Will they pull the trigger on tag team wrestling and make it as great as it once was? Because by the mid-90s, since all the way through, tag team wrestling has been the shits. You had a few years with the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. But, that's a lot of times tag teams are just 2 singles guys they've thrown together and made a tag team, and it's it's Tom and Carl B are your new tag champions, and like that's not a real team. Like I want to see teams.
Right.
Look what joining a tag team did for Road Dogg and Billy Gunn.
The chemistry has to be there, and it has to
Well,
mean something. So
yeah.
I think it's a good segue into our next match, Dave. Let's take it to the tag team title match.
Yep, we have the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I don't see how Owens and Zayn lose this. I just don't. It's time for the belts to come off the Usos. They've been champions for quite a while now. And so I think Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens get it done. I was pretty sure Sami Zayn wasn't going to win the belt off Roman in Montreal. So I think now that they're building up this, Zayn and Owens will be getting the straps. And I think the Bloodline's going to have to do some rebuilding.
I think it gives the Bloodline an opportunity to rebuild, like you said, but I would be shocked if they keep the belts on the Usos. I would prefer them to stay on the Usos for right now and actually change hands tomorrow night or Monday night on Raw as more of a shock and awe type deal after potentially Roman loses his belt and then they confront Roman as losing his title and they kept theirs, kind of building more of a story of why the Bloodline should break up. So ultimately, we'll see. I think this will be a hell of a match. You got four of the best in the ring at the time, and so I think it'll be a good match for the fans to see.
I think this is one of those send the fans home happy type gigs where this is the one that the fans really want to see. I personally would prefer this have been the main event for tonight. No digs at all on Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, as they are both just as deserving. But with the way that this story has progressed and it's so long in the making, I think this should have been the main event for tonight. Or it should have been the match before the main event tomorrow night. So one way or another, this match is co-main event of the evening because everybody at night one, this is the match they want to see. This is the one. And I think this will be the most talked about match of the night, as I expect this to be up there in terms of with the level of Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. I think this is going to be one that's for the ages. The Usos can go, and we know Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens can go. So will it be done right? And, will the fans get to go home happy tonight? We will see. So finally, our main event of night one for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Justin, I'll let you go first. Tell me what you see.
I see Rhea Ripley taking the SmackDown Women's title, taking the Judgment Day over to SmackDown and completely taking her throne and dethroning Charlotte Flair tonight. I think it'll be a hell of a match. It's going to be brutal as hell. If you've seen any of Becky and Charlotte's matches, this is going to be in comparison to that. These ladies are going to beat the hell out of each other tonight and put on a good show for that audience.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rhea Ripley wins, and I think Judgment Day ultimately ends up on SmackDown. And I want to see Rhea Ripley win. I've kind of in a lull with Charlotte Flair. She was gone for a while and immediately came back unannounced and won the women's championship in a match that, to me, it didn't make much sense. But Charlotte Flair has been the face of the women's revolution in wrestling for about 10 years now. And she's every bit as good in the ring as any woman ever. But I think the fans are getting a little bit fatigued with Charlotte Flair being the champion. And I'd like to see her chase for a little while. And I think Rhea Ripley's, she's due for a serious run. She hasn't had a real run as women's champion yet, other than a couple of short little title reigns. And Rhea Ripley is the future of the women's wrestling, I think. She's very young. Well, she's in her mid-20s. And she can go. She put on a hell of a performance at the Royal Rumble, lasted an hour and 3 minutes. And so you know the stamina's there. She looks the part. She looks like she could beat your ass. She probably really can. So, I mean, there's that. But she's another one that she's a good face, but she makes one dynamic heel in wrestling. And right now they need that. They need to start building up some of these new girls to put on matches. It sounds like Raquel Rodriguez is going to be the next in line to start getting a little bit of a push, because I think the same thing. Raquel Rodriguez is amazing. And I don't know if people remember this, but just a couple years ago when it was still black and gold, Rhea Ripley beat Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship in an incredible match. And Shayna Baszler had quite the run as NXT Women's Champion. I'd like to see them do more with her, but we'll get to that tomorrow. But It's there. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, I expect them to tear the house down, and I expect it to be the best women's match of the weekend. I think they will have a better match than Asuka and Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow. But I will say that Rhea has done a hell of a job transitioning her character. So if you look back at the first Mae Young, she came in as this Australian with long blonde hair, face, definitely did not connect with the audience. It is not until she went to NXT UK, turned heel, really made a difference. Debuted again in NXT US and continued to kick ass and was a dominant champion in the UK NXT. So I'm really looking for her to be a dominant champion, and that's the one thing that I hope that with Triple H now in charge of creative, that we have the same dominance from those champions that he had in NXT over on the main roster, because that's something that's missing.
Yeah, we've had belts. I think a lot of the titles don't mean as much anymore because they have flip-flopped so often. And now that Triple H is in charge, you're seeing obviously Roman Reigns is the exception to the rule. He's had a very long run, but Gunther, he's had a long run with the Intercontinental title, and it's been impressive. I mean, I can't remember the last time the Intercontinental was featured in anything, and it's finally starting to get its meaning back. So I don't even think the Intercontinental title was on WrestleMania last year.
No, it was on SmackDown the night before.
Yeah, so if you're a champion, you deserve to be on WrestleMania. That's my one and only caveat to anything. If you hold a belt in the WWE, your ass should be on WrestleMania or any pay-per-view for that matter. There's too many pay-per-views that don't feature champions. I mean, I get it. Roman Reigns isn't going to be on every card or whatever, but these lower belts, the Intercontinental title was always known as the working man's title, and it was on these shows. It should always be on the show. It's a big deal. So, final thoughts, Justin. Give me your final thoughts for night one of WrestleMania.
I think we're in for a hell of a card. I think ultimately the fans are going to go home happy. We should have some surprises tonight. And ultimately, if you're a wrestling fan, this is your weekend.
Yeah, this is Christmas Day for wrestling fans, WrestleMania. I'm not looking as forward to night one as I am night two. I'm very much looking forward to Cody and Roman, and I'm very much looking forward to Hell in a Cell. But we'll get there. I think this is going to be a hell of a night. WrestleMania night one is going to be very fun. I agree with you, Justin. The fans will go home happy. I think Rhea Ripley gets it done in the end. And I think, Dominic's the heel. Rhea Ripley's kind of the face of Judgment Day in terms of the fans like her. I mean, they get behind her. She's a dominant wrestler, and they do love Rhea Ripley. So I'd like to see her win. And I look forward to seeing what happens with the Usos and Zayn and Owens. I think that's going to be a fun one. So they did a great job of splitting these nights up to make them both seem equally as important.
And entertaining. Yeah.
Right. So, and I think we're all going to end up going home happy regardless, because I think it's going to be a good show. I haven't had any issues with recent WWE premium live events. They've done it right for years, but going back, some of the WrestleManias from 10 plus years ago were kind of they were kind of missing something, and I think they've got it back. So I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of the fans are. I can't wait to see what everybody has to say on Twitter, as I will be tweeting and watching wrestling for the next 4 hours. And that's it. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, PW Mania, for giving us this opportunity to be on your YouTube and be spotlighted on your program and your website. We love you guys, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Hit us up on Twitter at Justin Yent, YENT. I'm at Dave in the QC. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good night.